Hi everyone, Denise from Lost City Knits here, and I want to show you a little bit of what I've been working on. Now, you may know me basically as a knitter or a teacher, but I also do other things. I'm not one of those people who's ever going to use the hashtag never not knitting, because I do knitting. I spin, I bake, I quilt, I sew. I've even been known to sketch a good bit. So, we're makers, and I think celebrating the diversity of making is a lot of fun. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what I've been working on, which is a new quilt. I belong to the Tulsa Modern Quilt Guild and have for a year or so now. Recently we had a Quilt in the Park day where we invited the public to come out to a quilt show where our quilts were simply thrown on the grass and you could walk around and look at all the beautiful fabrics and the different ways that people cut things up and put them back together. So I think you're going to like this. I hope so. If you do, let me know. If you don't, take a pass. It's okay. Here we go. Here I am back on the deck. You may see some shadows because we have a little bit of tree coverage and that works really nice, but I'll get up close on some of the blocks to give you a preview. So here we go. There's a little wide view for you. And now I'm going to close in and look at some of the blocks. Hi everyone, here I am looking at the quilt. I'm going to give you a close-up of a few of the blocks and a little explanation if there is one necessary. I'm going to start with this particular sunny block right here. This is a sunflower, and Chris and I have been known to plant entire fields of sunflowers. I'll insert a clip here in just a moment of a photo he took of me harvesting sunflowers on Solstice Day a few years ago. So you can see why sunflowers are meaningful to me. Now I'm going to scoot on to the next block here. While I was making this quilt, I kind of fell in love with using English paper piecing of hexagons. Now I had a lot of fun with this one and just played. It was one of the first hexagons that, hexagon projects that I made. And this block just represents a bunch of flowers. And you can see there's another hexagon flower up there. Now a lot of the Jen Kingwell patterns are like this one, and that includes machine piecing and applique work. I really have a lot of fun doing applique. It speaks to me, so you'll see a lot of it in this quilt. Now, this particular block is, you guessed it, a wind chime. Now, my father, when he was alive, made wonderful wind chimes. He used long copper tubes for the sound, and then he would cut a heart out of clear plexiglass, and that would be what would move and drift back and forth, moved by the wind, to bump those copper tubes and make sound. This particular block, I think in the pattern, is called Bowl of Berries. Now, berries are fun, but so are lemons. So, I had some really fun lemony yellow fabric, so I included lemons instead of berries. Now, this is an entire block of just hexagons. I'm going to scoot in and show you something that's called fussy cutting. And if you're not familiar with the term because you're not a quilter, so the concept is to look at what your piece is going to be and center a little image in the middle. So you can see that I've got trailers, I've got fish, I have sugar skulls and kitty cats and frogs, all sorts of things in that one that are fussy cut. Now, I'm not going to do a lot of fussy cutting personally, but I think a little bit is fun. Now, this is a block that I've had in my sewing basket for years now. I made it 4 years ago, I think, and I call it Coyote Choir. Now, this is something that happens here on the farm quite often at night. You'll hear a group of the coyotes howling and partying and having a good time. I think they sound enchanting and like a choir. So, Coyote Choir, original block. Here's a little bit more fussy cutting. That is Frida Kahlo, one of my favorite artists. And then this block. Now, Jen had a block here that was just these clamshells. And it seemed unfinished to me. And about the time that I was working on this, several friends of mine who live in Albuquerque were posting photos of hot air balloons in the sky. So I decided that these looked an awful lot like hot air balloons. So I added baskets and guide wires via a little bit of embroidery. And I like that block a lot better now. So here is another block. This is close to what Jen Kingwell designed, but I appliqued it instead of machine piecing it. And for me, it looks a lot like Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors, with a big open mouth yelling, "Feed me, feed me." So when this comes back from the machine quilter, I'm probably going to embroider the words "feed me" somewhere on this one. It's just that kind of fun. I'm going to scoot back down here and show these 3 blocks, which are echinaceas, or my representation of echinaceas anyway. I really like the coneflowers, the common term for echinaceas. And here on my deck I have a purple and an orangey pink that's called cranberry coneflower, and your basic yellow coneflowers. So those are represented in this quilt as well. Now, while I was working on this quilt, Chris discovered a bag that had a bunch of linens that belonged to one of his grandmothers. And among those linens were a bunch of yo-yos that she had sewn together. I think this was probably a dresser scarf. They are really fun. So I washed them a couple of times and got the soil out, and then appliqued them down. And then I decided there was one yo-yo in the down position and one going up, because that's how life is. It's up and down. Here we are with a lily block. And I'm going to show you also, each corner has a yellow flower. Applique on. Now, when I take things from my life or the world around me and I use them in a knitting pattern or a quilt, I call it stitching from life. Just letting life guide you partly along the way, or maybe drive you completely along the way. That can work too. So, while this is based on the pattern Green Tea and Sweet Beans by Jen Kingwell, this is my version called Stitch from Life. I hope you like it. I can't wait to get this on a bed and sleep under it. Thanks, everyone.